I just saw the tweet that PlayStation officially put out on their X account, and they basically said that they are getting rid of disk drives from January 2028. And I just think that that's one of the worst decisions they could have ever made. For me, you know, I was always the kind of guy that that bought disc version of the game. I basically never got into the all digital games itself. I basically always bought a physical disc version on the retailers because I always thought, you know, if I didn't enjoy the game that much, that I could always sell it to another friend or another acquaintance or something. And of course, the last few years, the disc versions of these games are also a lot cheaper, in my opinion. You can basically get some deals for like $20-30, and the PlayStation Store offers them for $70 or $80, even after the release date. And they are basically charging $70 or $80 for 5 or 6 year old games, and even games older than that. You know, if you search on the PlayStation Store right now, you can basically see some games that are like 10-12 years old that are basically €60, which is absolutely absurd, because no game in this world should be able to charge that amount of money for a game that's that old. And they basically always put discounts on the same games that are not first parties. Like an example, you know, you have the Spider-Man games, the Spider-Man PlayStation games. Those games barely go on sale, or if they go on sale, they basically only sell them for like 20% off or something like that. And that is like a complete single-player game, and I just think a game like that is maybe worth like $30 or $40, like all these years later, especially the first one, and the Miles Morales game, of course. But yeah, it's just really sad to see that PlayStation finally decided to go all digital, which probably means that the PlayStation 6 that's coming out maybe next year, I expect 2027. So yeah, that console's basically going to be all digital. It's basically confirmed by this statement, because they are probably not going to release a disc version of the PlayStation console like they did with the PlayStation 5. And you know, I know the argument that like 85% of all players on PlayStation buy their games on digital. I get that, but you know, you have to respect the people who bought all of the disc in the past and who just like to buy the disc as well. For me, it's just nice to hold something that's real, you know. You can trade it with friends. It's actually a physical thing you can hold. It's just nicer, in my opinion. Yes, it's less convenient, but I just think that putting in a disc in the PlayStation is not that inconvenient. It just takes a couple of seconds, and it's just nice to hold a physical copy of your game in your hands and receiving it, you know. And they basically can never take it away from you, those physical discs. And if they're going to go all digital with the PlayStation 6, you basically own nothing anymore. And I'm also wondering, you know, what are they going to do with all of the people that bought just physical discs, like myself, and you're going to buy a PlayStation 6 which hasn't a physical disc. So do I have to basically buy all of the games that I bought these last few years, or the last 15 years or so? Do I have to buy all of these games again for like the full price they are charging for? Because you know, some games I've bought like second hand and at retailers that sold them for like $10 or something like that, but do I have to pay like €70 to play that same game again, or do I have to go always to my PlayStation 5 and my PlayStation 4 to play those things again? So I just really don't understand the decision. I know we are moving on as a world, and GTA 6 is probably the first one that decided to go into this route with just releasing they're releasing a physical copy without a disc inside. They're releasing it with a code in a box, which is basically the same. But you know, you have to think about all of the retailers as well in the world that are just selling the physical copies, or the second-hand entrepreneurs that are selling all of these games at a lower price point. Are those basically going to be completely retiring because they ain't going to be able to buy the new games for the PlayStation 6 as well? And I figured that PlayStation is probably not the only one that's going to do this. I think that Xbox is probably following up with it as well, and the PC obviously has been doing it for the last few years already. So it's nothing new. I know that the majority of the audience just plays on digital games, so it's expected, but it's still very hard to hear for someone who has been collecting all of these physical discs for the past few years. I have like hundreds of these discs lying around in my home, And I feel like, they haven't announced anything yet, but I feel like they're just basically going to be useless now, because or I have to play them on the PlayStation 5. But also all of these games that release like these last few years, they are basically all online games, all multiplayer games, so you basically can't boot them up without an internet connection as well. So that's also, I think, I really don't like, and I feel like, you know, they just have the opportunity to basically take your entire license away if you buy a full digital game. And with games like these days, like Call of Duty, they are basically completely online, so they can basically decide in the next 5 years or so that they are going to shut down the entire servers of that game, and you basically can never touch that game again. And you know, compared to all of the other games that released like 20 years ago, you can still put those on in. You have the discs of it. You still have the license to it. The game is the game is on the disc, so you can always play it. You can play it 20 years later on your console. And if you want to receive a second-hand copy of it, you can also buy it for like 3 or 4 euros. So to me, the second-hand market of these physical games is just so important, and it's just really sad to see that it's going away in 2028. Obviously, we still have a year and a half to go up until that point, but with PlayStation basically announcing this change, I think most of the developers in the world are not going to be producing disc anymore in the next few years. So I probably figure that in 2027 most games that were released in that year are probably not going to be releasing on disc. I think the 2028 date is just a guarantee date that they basically can't produce disc anymore, but I basically think this is like an immediate decision. It started with GTA 6, of course, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 that I'm also going to buy is probably still gonna have a disc, but that is most likely going to be the last Call of Duty that is going to be released on a disc. And yeah, you already saw it coming in all these last few years with all of these special editions you can pre-order. You can basically never pre-order the Ultimate Edition or the Vault Edition of these games with a physical disc. You always have to buy it in the digital store, and if you want to have early access to some parts of the game, you also have to buy it in the digital store. So you know, I saw it coming, but it's still very sad to see. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this topic, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.